Welcome, everyone, to another exciting edition of 55 and 5, the only show on YouTube that goes through each and every card in the 1955 Parkhurst Wrestling trading card set. Ian Riccaboni, Cary Silkin, our producer, AJ from Bisson Creative and Web Design, manning the camera and the audio. Cary, yesterday we had a thespian. We had Tosh Togo.
Damn movie star.
Right. We've had people that seem to be more famous in their fields other than wrestling kind of start to take over.
So this week we've had a Canadian football star, and then we had a top actor,
right,
as well as an excellent wrestler. Who you got for me today, my man?
Well, today, NFL Hall of Famer, inaugural class of the College Football Hall of Fame. So we're talking number one, super famous. He's a man who played on both sides of the football.
It's Gene Kaniski.
You'll see it's a name very name similar to that. And Cary, we might have to use all 5 minutes on this one. It is the most expensive card in the set. It's one of his only cards depicting him as a wrestler. He also has a famous Leaf football card. But Cary, can you tell me anything about Bronko Nagurski?
Well, Bronko Nagurski is a huge name in wrestling, going back to the 30s?
39, yeah. 39, yeah.
Oh, I was right.
Yeah.
Going back to the 30s. I'm going to go on the limb here and say he, too, did some movie work.
He did. Yeah, he was in a couple films, yeah.
And I just know that, that this name was synonymous with, like, Lou Thez.
Right.
And the Strangler Lewis and the greats of, that era. And Bronko Nagurski was sort of a household name.
He was.
Of that, if you knew sports and you knew wrestling. Did he make it to the TV era? He must have.
He did. He snuck in the back door of the TV era. He was kind of a legend at that point and did more kind of exhibitions. He would challenge for the NWA title later because he'd won it a few times before that. He'd won it at least twice that I could find. Okay. And so he was the son of Ukrainian immigrants in Canada, and he got recruited to the University of Minnesota. As the legend goes, this has been disproven, but there was a fun legend around him, kind of like Paul Bunyan, where he was out plowing the fields, and the coach from Minnesota saw this hulking man plowing the fields, and he said, "Son, which way's the corner store?" And he picked up the plow and said, "It's that way." And then he put him in his car and made him sign with the University of Minnesota. That was the urban legend. Apparently the true story is actually pretty similar. He saw this big, strong guy and said, "Hey, do you play football?" And there he went to the university. But big time star, the University of Minnesota. He would go on to have a huge historic game, another kind of legendary moment, but this one's true. He was playing with multiple broken vertebrae.
That complaint about my back.
Right. In 1928, multiple broken vertebrae, allegedly. He was given the ball 6 times to try and end the game to score. He does. He runs in for a touchdown. On the opposite end, as the University of Wisconsin's trying to score, he intercepts the ball to end the game.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where the legend of Bronko Nagurski starts to build.
Too bad he didn't play for the Chiefs.
Right. Too bad he wasn't an Eagle. I mean, he's inaugural inductee into both the College and Pro Football Hall of Fame, record-setting ring size, so the largest ring on record for a Hall of Famer.
Wow.
Size 8 head. I have a huge head. I'm a size 7 and 5/8.
I have a huge head.
He was a size 8, which is that's a special order hat.
Size 8 ring. Now
size 19 ring. Size 8 hat.
I like to smoke a cigar now and then, and so does our producer. The ring gauge, is that the same? No.
So another urban legend that's actually true is that he crashed so hard into the Wrigley Field wall, the brick wall, that he dented it and broke bricks.
Oh, come on.
Allegedly, that's.
But in a football game?
In a football game, yeah. Yeah. In celebration, he smashed the wall. So he came out of retirement twice, Chicago Bear. So he retires, comes out of retirement, wins a championship in the year he comes out, kind of like Gronkowski.
Okay.
Gronkowski retires, comes back, wins a title. Bronko Nagurski did that first.
in reference to Gronkowski and him playing with Tampa, who won the Super Bowl with Brady,
right?
Coming out of retirement, Brady never going into retirement, and Gronkowski being in WWE for a cup of coffee last WrestleMania.
Yeah,
they should have brought up Nagurski somehow.
They should have. They absolutely should have, because Nagurski, we haven't even got to his wrestling yet. The first time he challenges for the NWA World Title, he wins it, beats Luthez, and becomes this big box office.
Putting a rocket on him.
Yeah. Think of Brock Lesnar, what they did with him. Right. And they did that with Bronko Nagurski. Wins the title on June 23rd, 39. Wins in his first attempt. Defends the title a lot. Like a lot. He's touring because he's an attraction. People know him from football. Defends it a couple times against Frank Sexton, who we've done earlier in the series, who's the AWA champ in Boston. Defends against Luthez, Ernie Dusick, who we've also done in the series. Loses the title to Ray Steele, who's kind of one of the forgotten names, and I don't think he's in this set. I think he's out of wrestling by the time the set comes out. Wins it back in Minnesota, which is a huge number because he's the hometown guy. He's born in Canada but raised in Minnesota, so huge number. University of Minnesota star, but St. Louis is his kryptonite. Both times he loses the title, he loses it in St. Louis.
Well, that was. What year was the second loss?
I think it was 41. I don't have it written down. I think it was 41.
I guess it wasn't the point where St. Louis was the NWA capital, but maybe it was.
Yeah, it was starting to build a reputation. Right. Loses it to Sandor Sabo, whose name's come up quite a few times. And then eventually, like you said, in 43, he returns to football, wins the title, retires, becomes a wrestler again. And he just draws good houses. Orville Brown, who's generally recognized as the first NWA champion of this lineage officially, challenges him quite a few times, and then also challenges Luthez quite a bit after retiring from football again. So one of the great box office draws, attractions in both football and in wrestling. I mean, the media narrative and combined with the actual things he would do made this a can't-miss guy.
Yes. And so when this card came out, he was basically retired.
He was doing kind of special attraction matches. They'd bring him in to challenge for the belt every now and again, but he was an elder statesman at this point.
Right on.
And they did it. He lived for quite a long time. He lived through the 80s, and he would go on to manage a rest stop. He owned and managed a rest stop in Minnesota.
A rest stop?
Yeah. Or like a service plaza. Like you'd see. Well, not like that rest stop. But he managed a service plaza. The urban legend was he'd get you to come back because his grip was so tight. When he would personally fill your gas up, he'd put the gas cap on so tight that you couldn't get it off. So you had to come back to him for repeat business. So the joke was that he'd have the most repeat business out of any gas station in the country.
Remind me on Last Stop Penn Station to tell you about the Irish Travelers next week.
Okay. We'll talk about the Irish Travelers. But he did ceremonial coin toss for a couple Super Bowls. He recognized quite a bit by the NFL, recognized one of the NFL's greatest players. Did an interview with him in the 80s that I read that said that if he was playing modern football, he'd love to be a linebacker because he think he could have really hurt some people, which is because the way the game's different. Generally considered one of the fastest, strongest, biggest players of his day, and really just an anomaly for 1920s and 30s.
Well, very interesting. Big star.
Big time star. I know we're still waiting for Buddy Rogers, but
that's all right.
In terms of big time box office attraction, Bronko Nagurski's right up there.
Very good.
Yeah. So that was episode 58.
Yes.
We're closing in on the halfway point, Cary.
All right.
We got one tomorrow that I don't know. For every Bronko Nagurski, there's someone I've just never heard of. And Cary, I know you know your wrestling history, but this one might be an uphill climb.
Well, we'll see what it is.
And I can't wait to see it. And on Friday, we got a guy with the same last name. Not brothers.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. Could it be the Dusicks? Could we have a real one and a fake one? Ooh, I don't know. We'll have to find out. Join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Join us every weeknight until we get through the series at 8 p.m. for live premieres. For our producer, AJ, for Cary, I'm Ian Riccaboni. Thanks so much for joining us, learning a little bit about Bronko Nagurski here today.